Released in 2004, this crime drama directed by Michael Mann and starring Tom Cruise, Jamie Foxx, and Jada Pinkett Smith, with appearances by Mark Ruffalo and Javier Bardem, thrilled audiences and critics alike. It sits with an 86% on Rotten Tomatoes as certified fresh and grossed over $200 million in worldwide box offices. It was nominated for 2 Academy Awards, including Best Film Editing and Best Supporting Actor for Fox. Today on You've Never Seen It, we're talking about Collateral. Welcome to You've Never Seen It, an audio podcast where I'm on a mission to never hear these 4 words again. I'm your host, Allison Salamone, and joining me today to discuss Collateral is my dear friend, Mr. Jack Mayer. Hi, Jack. How are you?
I am wonderful. Thank you so much for having me on.
I'm so excited you're here. For people who don't know, it's really funny in my headcanon that Jack chose this movie because the only other movie I've really heard him talk about and be a super fan of is Tom Hooper's Cats. So
talk is a strong word given how you see me around that movie, but
I'm trying to give, super stan.
Strung together words into what can legally be described as a sentence.
It could technically be a sentence, maybe a few words in there. So very opposite end of the spectrum when it comes to these films. But before we even kind of get into it, give me your history. What is it about movies in general, and what was it about this movie that you wanted to talk with me about it?
So I have been very obsessed with movies since I was about 7. And again, a movie that is not anywhere near Collateral that made me fall in love with movies was Disney and Pixar's Up.
Oh, great movie.
I remember seeing it in the theaters and being so moved by it as a tiny little 7-year-old.
God, you were 7 when Up came out. I've never felt so old in my life. Sorry, proceed.
But ever since then, I have been in love with movies. I've been in love with watching them, and especially as I went into high school and into college now, where I'm a screenwriting major with a very strong interest in film studies, I've been very fascinated with analyzing movies.
Okay.
I love sitting down, watching a movie, and then breaking down in my head, and then if I'm with someone, talking about the movie afterwards, about what I liked about it, what I didn't like about it, what certain elements worked, what didn't. I usually walk away from a movie pretty passionate about it one way or another. And I would rather be passionate about movies than be bored by them.
Absolutely.
So even a movie that's bad, not Cats. Cats is great. I could see it in your eyes that you were thinking that I was going to say Cats. It's great. It's a phenomenal movie.
That was a fun time being completely sober with everyone else watching. You guys can go and find that over on the, I want to say it's on the Schmo Me the Money.
It is.
YouTube
Disasterpiece Theater.
Disasterpiece Theater of the watch-along of Cats.
Become more and more incoherent as the night goes on.
I'm just so glad that I feel like it's now how it's become kind of canon that I cry at everything. I feel like now whenever you come on a podcast or whenever you're on a stream, it's just now canon that somehow the conversation is going to talk about cats in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, pretty much. It has to. Everything comes back to Tom Hooper's Cats.
6 degrees of separation.
And you know what? I personally am grateful for it.
We all are, Jack. We all are. So with that, so then you were very quick to choose between Collateral and another movie, but the other one wasn't available. But what was it? What is it about Collateral that draws you to it? That you had to this was the one that we had to chat about.
So there is a lot about Collateral that tickles the film bro part of my brain,
Mm-hmm.
which is a part that I sometimes really wish I could shut off. But then I watch a movie like this and I'm like, oh no, this is phenomenal. Uh Michael Mann, I think, is part of the reason why I want to talk about this movie, because Michael Mann is a very, very specific type of filmmaker
Mm-hmm.
that a certain subsect of people on the internet really, really love. And it's something that fascinates me because I think that Michael Mann is a very good director, but I don't think his movies are always the strongest. But
Okay.
I know a lot of people who are just in love with Miami Vice, who are in love with Ali, who are in love with Black Hat, movies that weren't super well received by critics or audiences, really. But he has this very strong, passionate group of supporters. And I've always been interested in filmmakers like that, filmmakers who are able to draw in a certain kind of audience and who have these such passionate defenders of all of their works. And Collateral stands out to me as being one, I think Michael Mann's, I want to say most accessible work, but maybe second to Heat.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with you on that, just because of the accolades alone that came from it, right? Because you have a Tom Cruise who's actually playing a villain, gray hair, older
Mhm.
Tom Cruise. Jamie Foxx, I put in a group chat before too. He was nominated for Best Supporting Actor for
Yeah,
this
and
one.
he's phenomenal in this
He's
movie as
so
well.
good. And then film editing, they were nominated for with the
Mhm.
Oscars. So this movie did, it grossed like 220 million worldwide on like a
Mhm.
65 million dollar budget. Um but when I was just looking through his, because I just pulled up real quick his filmography and I saw that Heat was on it, I would 100% agree with you. It was probably Heat, and then this movie has like his two of his biggest standouts for sure.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Heat's so good too when they do that
He
shootout.
is
I mean, everyone talks
really
about the
good.
shootout
Yeah.
scene.
No,
My
the
only
diner
issue,
scene, like,
yeah,
oh god.
my only issue with Heat and why I think would put Collateral over Heat is I have to set aside half a day to watch it. if I'm Because I can't do the stop and go back. Like, I mean, I can, but it's not my favorite. I would rather like
See,
just sit down and just get it all done and just watch the whole thing.
I'm 100% the same way, but I'm like kind of like that with every movie. I'm just like, okay, I need to carve out a chunk of time and I
Hmm.
can't stop. I have to like be focused in, locked in on every little thing that's happening. And I feel like with a movie like Collateral, that's very easy because of how tense it is.
And how well
Uh
paced it is, it feels
yeah.
like. It does not stop.
So you brought up Tom Cruise as well, and I feel like
Hmm.
it's also important to touch on Tom Cruise is my favorite actor. He
TC
stars in
Legend.
two of my favorite movies, Magnolia and A Few Good Men. Uh, and it's funny. A lot of people, and like it's understandable why. A lot of people call this like a sort of different role for Tom Cruise, a
Hmm.
role that they wouldn't expect him to be in. I think it's actually perfectly suited for him and for his strengths as an actor. I think that he does so many like subtle nuances in this movie. He's the first character we really see and really get to meet when he has this scene in LAX with Jason Statham, which is a very funny cameo to see
Yeah.
like now that Jason Statham is like movie star.
Right. And you even get that great Jason Statham accent with it. And then you talk about like little
Welcome to
nuances.
Los Angeles.
Welcome to Los Angeles. Um, those great little nuances when the first murder you witness happens and the guy falls out the window. By the way, we're full spoilers, so people
Yeah.
have, it's been out since 2004. If you haven't seen it, not my problem. Clearly I haven't. So it probably should be my problem. It's become my problem. That's why I have a podcast. But when the body falls out the window and Jamie Foxx is freaking out, and Tom Cruise comes out and he stands there and like the reaction that he has where he's like, fuck, like shit, like that wasn't supposed to happen. And then he just gets it together real quick. So like that's how you know like that wasn't meant to be. But then he gets it together and then he's like, look, we're good. We're gonna get this. And then like how he calms himself down and you're just like, it's typical Tuesday night. Let's go. I don't know if it was a Tuesday when this was
Mhm.
filmed, but it's just another day in the office for him. And he just kind of
Yeah,
just goes with
exactly.
it. It's wild.
And it's
And
just It's so interesting because it like I feel like it has both him at his most extreme,
Mm-hmm.
but also him at his most subtle. And I feel like he plays both sides of that coin incredibly well.
He gets so intense. Like when they go to visit Jamie Foxx's mom in the hospital and he steals the briefcase and he runs out and Tom Cruise comes running after him. And they catch up, throws everything. And he gets so intense. And he throws him on the ground. He's like, "You are messing with my work." And it's like,
Mhm.
see what else you can. Like, and then he just snaps it back in. And it is just so brilliant. And I
Mhm.
would say Tom Cruise is another reason why I think this whole movie works for him and the character works for him is he's a great dialogue actor, right? Like,
Yeah.
you mentioned A Few Good Men. Love A Few Good Men. Magnolia was fine. The ending lost me on Magnolia, but we don't have to talk about it.
We could discuss Magnolia off air, but
We can discuss that later. But A
perfect.
Few Good Men is one of my absolute favorite. I adore him in that role, and I think that's another one that just shows his acting chops and how he does well with a script that is jam packed full of dialogue. The action is great,
Mhm.
like Collateral. Action is great when it's in there, but the dialogue it's quick, it's on point. There's
Mhm.
not any pauses. Like the whole scene where they first meet in the taxi cab, and
Mhm.
something's up, but you don't quite know it yet. And they're just going and like Jamie Foxx is like he was so open with Jada Pinkett Smith, and now he has this other guy in the cab, and he's like, "Nah, I don't really want to talk about it. We can do whatever." But
Yeah.
the way that Tom Cruise
And I
is,
think
go
yeah, I
ahead.
think what's also so brilliant about what that movie does is how it builds the tension through
Yes.
dialogue. And that is like it starts out with what's seemingly a normal conversation almost every time that they're going to this new hit. But every time a new piece of information is also revealed, whether it's about Tom Cruise, whether it's about Jamie Foxx, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But the way that every sequence just starts to build on each other more and more and more, and how everything just starts to tie back around, how you have this subplot that you don't really know why it's there until it explodes in the
Mm-hmm.
second nightclub.
Yeah. 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 And like again, those little kind of like subtle lines where like when they're it almost makes I feel like it almost makes you wonder what if obviously it's a movie by Jamie Foxx finding out what's happening, but I could you imagine that cab ride or ride share ride or whatever now in this this day and age where
Mhm.
that's what you're doing, right? And you are none the wiser because unless that guy fell out that window, he never would have known,
No idea.
right? Like no clue. Like Tom Cruise in, out, done, and on to the
Mhm.
next. And it would, and he even so much he says that as they're in the cab, he's like, now we got to improvise. This is where we're at. The whole conversation with like Jamie Foxx is like wrestling with, but why'd you kill him? And Tom Cruise is just like, Rwanda, shit ton of people died there. Did you care about that? But now you care about some
Mhm.
fucking fat Angelino, I think is the words that he used. And Jamie Foxx was like, well, what did he do? Was he a bad guy? And like Tom was like, I'm not justifying what I'm doing to you. Like, just drive. You weren't supposed to know. Act like you don't know anymore, which is just
Mhm.
mind boggling.
Yeah, it's so so good. And like again, that is the part of the movie that like scratches the itch in my brain. Like again, I'm a screenwriting major. I want to eventually write television, but when I tend to watch more movies than I do television, and I look at movies for story structure, and I look at movies for the way that characters interact, seeing how their relationships build over this shorter period of time, and then in my own mind thinking, okay, how would I extend this out across a longer period of time in my own work? And Collateral, I think, is one of the best examples
Mm-hmm.
of a very clearly defined first act and a very clearly defined second act with a
Oh, it's
perfect midpoint
so good.
when
I actually wrote
Max
that down in my
has
notes.
to
When
be
he goes into
Vincent.
that club and he's so nervous. And then he has his own Vincent moment where he just snaps real quick. He's like, you need to tell your man to put his gun away. And like now he's like this bad glasses. And you're just like, oh, and you're just like, okay, Jamie. And
The glasses are
it's almost like
off.
I wanted someone else was saying, um, in the group chat that we're in, that year was like the year that it clearly people started taking Jamie Foxx very seriously as an actor. It's the same year as Ray, and then he has Collateral, and he's a fucking good actor. Like he
He's
deserves
such a force in this movie.
yes.
Like
Yes.
it no pun intended, he is literally the driving force behind the film.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Which is why, like, I mean, obviously, I don't understand how it's whatever studios want to submit for, or whatever. But it's like, I don't get how you throw him in as a supporting actor when it's like I mean, it's not a buddy cop, but you know what I mean. Like he and Tom Cruise are in every scene together. And if they're not in every scene together, it's Jamie Foxx in a scene without him.
They're co-leads essentially, but
yeah,
it's definitely. I think studios campaign for where they want, and Jamie Foxx was clearly getting so much heat for lead actor for Ray that they probably wanted to throw him into supporting and to see if they could get him heat in that category too.
And see if he could win both, right? Yeah. Why not?
And honestly, again, I don't remember exactly who won that year, but it's a great performer.
I think that year it was Ray, and that was the year that he won for Ray.
I don't remember who won supporting actor though that year.
Oh, who knows? Who cares? It's probably someone really important, and someone's going to yell at me in comments for.
Yeah.
It's always how it goes. How could you not what do you mean?
It was 2004 was the best supporting. Like,
look, I'm just gonna look it up now as we talk more about it. So we got it, guys. We'll Google it. We'll cut all this shit out. Don't worry about us.
We're fine. We'll do it.
I also want to. Speaking of actual supporting roles, can we also talk about Sean Penn just popped up on my thing. Can we talk about Javier Bardem and Mark Ruffalo? And like Mark Ruffalo coming in with his slicked back hair. And I was like, that is not. And then I saw the face when he opened the door and the window was down. I'm like, fuck, that's Mark Ruffalo.
It took me so long the first time I saw that. You're like, who is that? Like, is that?
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's the guy from Now You See Me.
Oh, Morgan Freeman won in 2004 for $1 Million.
The other guy from Now You See Me.
You are not wrong in either one of those. And I love that that's your movie. I liked Now You See Me. I thought that was a great flick.
I have extensive thoughts on both films.
We're gonna Of course you do. Part of me is thinking like I want to live inside your head and just see what it's like for like 10 minutes, but also part of me is like no.
No, you don't.
No, thank you, sir. That was a mistake.
What compels your go-to movie when you are bored to be Now You See Me Too?
But yeah, no, so that's who won. So I guess that makes sense. I did see $1 Million Baby. Mm-hmm. I guess he deserved it sense. when you have okay. Anywho, can we talk about the Mark Ruffalo and Javier Bardem though of it all? Because Javier Bardem as Felix in that club scene. Holy shit balls.
You see the beginnings of Anton Sugar in that.
Yeah.
Like he's working up to it. But you see like, oh, this guy can fuck someone up.
Yeah. And I'm like, no, thank you, sir. I'm all done. And then like he acts like he's all cool, but then he tells everyone, he's like, follow him to the next one. Don't let them fuck this up. And it's just like, it's so intense watching the shit hit the fan constantly throughout this movie.
It's every time as well, because there's again, speaking from like film structure terms, that the film is almost episodic in a way. Every mission that Tom Cruise has to go on, and everything that Jamie Foxx has to do, it always ends with the goal being accomplished, but something goes wrong. Mm-hmm. And then whatever goes wrong will either pay off in a future episode or maybe the very next episode. But it all builds up to this incredible finale, which ties back a character that we think is just like a random person that Jamie Foxx is driving around, someone that we think is just there to set up exposition for Max.
Mm-hmm.
But it ends up being a central figure in the climax.
Yeah. And then he ends up meeting his demise in the same way that he was complaining about LA in the first place, and how he heard about someone on the MTA who dies and rode around for 6 hours and no one realized it.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's what ends up happening to him. And you're just like, fuck. Like, it's such... I love a movie when it wraps up, right? Like, I'd rather have an ending than like, maybe I shouldn't say it like that definitive. There's a few where I enjoy a thinker, but like, I always like a clear beginning, middle, end. I just think it just, especially when it can flow really good and doesn't feel forced. And none of this felt forced. And you get a clear ending, and that's how it is. And Max goes about his life. Hopefully he's okay. He gets the girl, like, maybe
the girl. And again, like, that's kind of what I do like about it, is that it is a very clear ending for this story, but it's very obviously not the end of what Max will do in his life. However, we know that this moment is now going to define him going forward and what he does and what he chooses to do.
Oh, absolutely. There's no way. There's like, well, maybe now that he's got this very successful U.S. attorney girlfriend, he can finally start his limo company.
Maybe.
That's all he wanted. That's all he wanted. Can we talk about also Max's mom in the hospital when she was like, "Why'd you bring me flowers?" And he goes, "I didn't. He did." And then she was like, "They're beautiful."
I know. Oh God, it shows that relationship so well in just a couple of lines of dialogue. Like, like again, like it's kind of a gift what Stuart Beattie is able to do with so little. Just like immediately you understand everything there is about these characters. And again, it is the script for sure, but it is also Michael Mann's direction and the way that he chooses to edit the introduction scenes, the way that he chooses to edit the scene in the hospital, the way that he chooses to edit the shootouts, the club scenes. Like, I can understand why this movie was nominated for Best Editing, because it is all in that. Like,
yes,
everything in this movie works because of the way that it is presented through the editing, through the sound. The sound of this movie is incredible.
The up close shots that are complete, everything is purposeful. Like in my Citizen Kane episode, every single thing that happened in Citizen Kane, when you're watching it from the cinematography standpoint, from scripting, like, of course everything has a reason, but like, you always sometimes hear about like these little happy accidents or things like that happen, but like Citizen Kane was like, no, we want to shoot the ceiling, so we're gonna cut a hole in the floor because we want you to feel like you're looking up at these titans, because that's what they were. Everything is done, and the close-up shots are close-ups because they want you to feel that intensity and that, like, the look on Jamie Foxx's face when because he's eating that sandwich as things fall, like as the guy drops on his car. Like, you're not gonna, I don't think that reaction of what he had or that scene would have played out as well without that suspense buildup with how close you're looking at him until it happens.
The thing about Michael Mann's movies is that literally the twitch of an eye has as much impact as the shot of a gun. And that is, I could see that, very impressive for directors to do. I notice it more so in Miami Vice, although I think that is a much worse movie than this is.
Joaquin Phoenix, Miami Vice? No, that's not. That's that one of my.
No,
that was
it's Colin Farrell.
Colin, even better. Inherent Vice, Miami Vice, same thing. It's fine. I haven't seen either one of them, just so you know. Future episodes, we'll put them on the list. I was digging this salt and pepper Tom Cruise though. Like,
so good.
It's such a good look for him.
Yeah, it really is.
I need him to bring it back. Like, I don't need my Mission Impossible Tom Cruise to keep having this dark hair. Like, just bring it back.
No, Maverick with salt and pepper hair would be just elite.
Oh, that would have been a whole new awakening for me. I'm
me
like,
too.
Ring, huh? Married? What? Mm-mm. Give me a little salt and pepper on that Maverick. What are you talking about? Peggy Benjamin who? Let me get in there. I'll get it. This is good looking. It's a good looking man with that salt and pepper hair. and like we talked about, like his role, like this role of him being the bad guy, and I don't even think like it's the fact that he's the bad guy. It's the like you said, the role is perfect for him. I think more so because of the writing and the dialogue, because you could have put him in Jamie Foxx's role. I think no matter what, he's going to kill whatever role he's in because he's Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
But it's not even so much that he's playing a villain, because there are certain points in this where you're like, he's so charming in some aspects with it that you're just like, yeah, okay. Like before he kills the guy and he's like convincing Jamie Foxx to drive him around for the whole night, and I'm like, you're a nice guy. Yeah. Like, cool. Like, this is great. I'm into this. Right? And then he
guy throws the guy out of a window.
Well, no, according to Tom Cruise, he did not throw him out the window. The bullet caused him to go out the window. That's what was the line Jamie Foxx said, "What, you killed a man?" And he goes, "No, I shot a man. The bullets in the fall killed him." And you're like, justification.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure, okay. I buy it.
Let me Yes, sir. Whatever you say. Whatever you say. I also love that I now understand the gif of Tom Cruise doing this that's been going around, like where he just like when people like talk about like falling asleep, whatever. Like I get it now. The ending that's now become a gif. I'm like, now I get to say I understand that reference, and I'm so ecstatic about it.
Something else that I will say that I love about this movie that I didn't appreciate until I rewatched it most recently was its setting. So I think that, and like again, this is gonna be like sort of film bro, so just strap in.
Yeah. No.
There are so many movies where the setting is a character, but I noticed that in a lot of films that are at least produced in the United States, the character city tends to be somewhere like New York or Chicago. There are these very well-known cities with these very iconic landmarks. But I sometimes feel like Los Angeles isn't shown to be what Los Angeles actually is. You know, you have movies like La La Land where it shows this sort of like dramatized, like incredible version of LA. But having just finished up my freshman year at school in Los Angeles, and like in that Southern California area that Max and Vincent are driving around all night, there is no movie that captures the feeling of Los Angeles better than Collateral, other than the fact that there's seemingly perfect traffic. That's that is literally the only gripe that I have with this movie, is that it does not take Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx an hour to get to each location, which it absolutely would in real life.
7 minutes. 17 minutes. I don't know, like the time that
you're gonna get from LAX to USC in 17 minutes. Sure.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
Bet.
Sure.
Maybe in 2004. Who knows?
Maybe. It takes me 10 minutes to get to my school from LAX, and my school is literally about 2 miles away.
Yeah, it's traffic in LA. That's like it's like the Michael Bay, soon to be Michael Bay classic Ambulance, where they're just able to speed around.
Ambulance kind of gets it right though.
They're like, we gotta get out of here before rush hour, bro. We just gotta get out of here before rush hour.
That is a plot point in Ambulance, and it's incredible.
I love it. I love it so much. I love that that's a plot point in it, as well as Jake Gyllenhaal yelling that he has genital herpes.
I was like,
we
all gotta deal with the cards.
And I didn't want herpes. We gotta deal with the cards that we're done with. I love Michael Bay so much.
Oh my god!
And the way that he writes
that movie is also something else. I have a whole story about the movie that I'll tell you off air, but
that movie is wonderful. No, I love that idea, because I really I can't see this movie being done anywhere else but LA. Like, because in New York, you're stopping and going every 10 seconds, and it's not going to work. Chicago, maybe, but I like that you're getting nitty gritty LA. Like, I don't know if you ever watched the show Bosch on Amazon Prime. Great show. Takes place in LA, and they're always filming in like the nitty gritty areas of Los Angeles and showcasing all that. Same with like Goliath and how Goliath does things with like real, again, talking about like the city and everything. It's fun. It's fun to see LA as LA and not as, like you said, that romanticized version of it. And to, because my only other favorite LA based movie is obviously Die Hard, but
Oh, of
like,
course. But that
it's
just all
only
takes
at
place in
Nakatomi
one
Plaza.
building.
Right. I need more. I need so much more.
More Los Angeles.
More Los Angeles. But yeah, no, you're getting like that darker side of Los Angeles where you're away from the city lights and you're away from the celebrity and the Hollywood and all of that. And I think that is super important with the way that's done, where you're, I mean, I don't know how you get anywhere in LA in 7 minutes, like you said, but you know, maybe Jamie Foxx is just good.
He's a really good, they established at the beginning, he's a very good driver.
Very good driver. Ooh, Fast and Furious spinoff? What? 10-second cars? just throw it out there. Why not?
I felt the earth shake for a minute.
Yeah, no. But also I kind of have to think about, because one of the things about movies, like in general, is and kind of what I've been talking about a lot, is how they hold up in this day and age. Like a Colin Farrell classic Payphone may not hold up anymore because those no longer exist, right? Would something like this in a city like LA or wherever, do you think if it was made in this day and age, it would make as much sense and have as much connection as a taxi driver now that we have things like Uber and Lyft? Like, would a rewrite be necessary? Like, what are your thoughts on like how it holds up in that sense?
It definitely would not hold up. Because I don't know how recently you've been to Los Angeles or you've been to LAX, but basically what they have now is they have this bus that takes you to where all of the taxis and Ubers and Lyfts will pick you up from a certain spot at the airport. And so you have the option of, if you want to go to a taxi, you can go to a taxi. But if you want to call an Uber or a Lyft, you call them when you're on the bus, and then the bus will take you to the pickup spot.
Right.
So it's unlikely that anybody, unless they're really trying to get to a place that's nearby, would take anything other than an Uber or a Lyft.
Yeah. And now people who drive Ubers and Lyfts, they all got cameras in their cars. So you know what you're not going to do? Drop a dead body on mine.
Exactly.
I'm like, guess what? Ride canceled, bro.
Ride canceled. Yeah, just cancel the ride.
Canceled. Ride canceled, homie.
That being said, though, I think that a movie like Collateral is still relevant because it still displays a time capsule. Like that's my thing, is that I don't ever really consider movies to be dated. I've never watched a movie and thought, well, that I don't think that would ever make sense in 2022. Yeah, of course it wouldn't make sense in 2022 because it wasn't made in 2022. It was made in the time that it was made. And thinking about the context of when a movie was made, what was happening at the time, what was the atmosphere like, you have to think about all of those things. Like, if think about like what 2004 was like. You know, we're still in technically, again, when the movie was made, it was probably like 2003. Still in the first term of the George W. Bush presidency. There's still a lot of fear surrounding flying and terrorism, and especially in major metropolitan cities. So you then like thinking about like seeing this sort of like underbelly of what's going on in America and seeing that like this is not a global problem. It happens just as much domestically, and like this sort of people who do things without remorse for their own reasons that aren't really explained or understood. Those are problems that are happening right here in this country in one of the most populated cities in the world. And anybody could be witness to that.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense for sure. I also want to point out that when this movie released, I was a senior in high school. Just FYI.
I was 3.
So great. They're wonderful. This is wonderful. I love it. So thanks for coming on. This is fantastic. Oh man. Oh, my heart just broke a little bit. God, I'm so old. It's fine. It's fine.
Maybe I'm just really
Child.
young.
That's probably what it is. That's what I'm going
That's
with.
what that
Which
that's the narrative. That's the narrative we're pushing.
that is the exact narrative we're pushing. Which then makes me realize too, this was released in 2004. This movie's almost 20 years old.
Yeah.
And Tom Cruise is still like leaping off of fucking cliffs. Like, I don't know what Scientology, like, maybe I need to drink the Scientology Kool-Aid. I don't know. Like,
Look, those thetan levels must be high.
yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
He
Like,
has reached maximum clarity
if
so many times.
Scientology is real, then Tom Cruise must have an obscene whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I do not have anywhere near what he has. Again, if Scientology is real, it isn't.
L. Ron Hubbard just pops out of my closet because he's back. He's reincarnated. And I'm like, oh, this is what happens.
What the fuck are you doing here?
The fuck?
Tom Cruise hides in my closet.
Tom Cruise just smacks himself on my window like, excuse me, what are they saying?
He smacked himself on his window because he had to jump out of a plane that was flying through a thunderstorm in order to get to you, though. Just remember
Right.
that.
And save Henry Cavill's life.
Exactly.
Oh, man. Talk about another snack. Henry Cavill. Whew.
And with the mustache. Oh,
The mustache that ruined Justice League because Warner Brothers are a bunch of fucking idiots.
One of the few men that actually looks more attractive with facial hair.
Oh my god. You know what? You're looking at the facial hair, that's cool. I just look at the scenes where his shirt's not on. It's like when that picture of Ryan Gosling came.
He's got a very pretty face. Henry Cavill just like
he has
he's
a
got
very
nice
pretty
face to look at. Like
he was chiseled by the gods.
Yeah.
Specifically to grow up into an adult to play Superman.
Yes.
Like that is exactly why whatever divine power that made him and brought him into our lives, that was his purpose. Is to play that role. And only that role, but I'm okay anytime I can see him. It's also like when everyone was looking when that picture of Ryan Gosling came out as Ken in the new Greta Gerwig Barbie movie, and people were like, oh, he's very blonde. I went, oh, you're looking at his hair?
Oh, his hair.
Cause
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah, no, very blonde. Very
Sure. That's a movie I can't wait to see.
Me too.
But yeah, I mean, God, fucking Tom Cruise, man. And the career, and who I think it was Ben who had like a whole breakdown of like the of Tom Cruise's career and like how it started to like he was getting great and then he had his really weird years and then like he started coming back as like the action hero.
Mm-hmm. This is like right on the cusp of that, I think. This is
I do too.
Still when he's in his I want an Oscar phase.
His Eyes Wide Shut phase.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's all we got to say about that movie.
But like this was around. It was like a couple years after Minority Report. I went full Boston there for a second. Yeah, it's a couple years after Minority Report. You know,
Minority Report.
War of the Worlds is the next year. You know, Collateral.
Great movie. I feel like people hate on War of the Worlds.
That is one of my top 5 favorite Spielberg movies.
It's so good. It was a great It was a great summer movie with monsters and aliens, and now I want to go watch it again because I don't think I've seen it since it came out. Honestly,
it's really good.
It's so good,
really good.
And then yeah, he makes this turn, and now we are getting Collateral, and like he just starts like really getting back into his Mission Impossible stuff. Like
he does so much running in Collateral. Like,
so much running.
End.
Yeah.
Like it is like he is in full Tom Cruise running mode. In a suit, no less.
And he's not the biggest person. So like he has tiny legs running that fast. Like I know they make him look bigger, obviously.
Yeah.
But like
sitting down for the majority of the movie.
He got some little legs. Oh man. The Last Samurai came out before Collateral. Oh. Oof.
Yikes.
Roof.
But again, still kind of in his I want an Oscar phase where he's like, yeah, I'll do a samurai movie.
Yeah, because you have even so like before you Magnolia 99, then you got MI2, Vanilla Sky, Minority Report, Last Samurai, and then we get back into like Collateral, War of the Worlds. Oh, the Mission Impossible 3.
Which is phenomenal. Like
The the best Mission Impossible movie.
yeah,
Honestly. Like just
and
that
the
turn, and
best
because that's
J.J.
what makes the
Abrams
turn.
movie.
Lens flare. I feel like lens flare to J.J. Abrams is the same as unnecessary doves to John Woo, right?
Yes, absolutely. 100%.
Like, is that how, I feel like that's how that goes.
It's a good comparison.
Right? You know, these. I remember I had no idea, oh, like directors or things like that. And my first introduction to John Woo doves was, we bought a before Mission Impossible Fallout came out. Like the Best Buy us had the whole 5-pack of all the Mission Impossible movies for like $30. So, and they're all Blu-ray. So we're like, okay.
Yeah.
So we bought them, and then literally my husband and I watched one every night leading up to Fallout. And as we're watching Mission Impossible 2, he goes, John Woo doves. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And then the doves fly out. And I just look at him and I go, is that like a thing? He goes, oh yeah, in every John Woo movie, there's unnecessary doves. So my introduction to John Woo unnecessary doves was
Mission
Impossible
Impossible
2, like 2 years ago.
An excellent introduction, though. I must
That's
say.
because it is prime John Woo doves.
Yeah.
I feel like prime John Woo doves. Well, getting towards kind of like wrapping things up. So I always like to end with going into my Letterboxd and rating movies and giving them, my, I don't do like a full review because I don't got like fancy words. I'm just like, it was good or it was fine. Like that's kind of where I go with things. Like people actually want to make like, big things about it. But I think like out of 5 stars, I'd probably give this like 4.5. I'd go back and rewatch it.
Yeah. I have this actually as a 5-star movie on my Letterboxd. It does for me everything that I want to see. If I'm like, okay, I want to sit down and I want to watch something great. I want to watch something that is going to make me think about what it would be to be a filmmaker, what it would be to direct actors, what it would be to build tension. I'm pulling up my Letterboxd review right now, actually. But like, there's a lot that Michael Mann does where he uses lighting to reveal character. There's something actually that I'm remembering where he like shows the reflection in Jamie Foxx's glasses that is just so brilliant.
I'll have to go back and look for it now.
Yeah, it's like if you like watch Jamie Foxx's glasses in that movie and watch the progression of that, it is a sight to behold, and how much of a story like that kind of stuff tells. Like it's every little thing, like you were saying, everything's very intentional when it comes to Michael Mann, but what he does so well is making little moments have the same impact as big ones.
And this is a movie that I know for a fact I'm gonna go back and rewatch.
Yes.
And upon a rewatch with like all the things you're telling me, like already even just now, like going back and rewatching things before we started this record, I noticed things I didn't notice before. Like we talked about that moment where Tom Cruise comes out and sees the body landed on the taxi and he's like, fuck, right? And he's like freaks out real quick and then he pulls it back together. Like those things I didn't pick up on at first because I was just so enthralled with this movie, and I was so enthralled with Jamie Foxx and the character that he was playing, because that's your big, loud, boisterous character that's like, I can't do this. Like, we got to stop. Like, bro, like, this isn't me. And so I think that's where your attention goes at first, because you're just like, Tom Cruise is a bad guy. But upon the second rewatch, I've been focusing with what I was watching, been focusing more on Tom Cruise and what he's doing. And then I think with like when I do like my next full one, I have no doubts that this will probably become a 5-star movie. I just don't know if I'm right there yet.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
I haven't had the time to really absorb the nuances with it all.
And there's a lot to absorb in this movie as well. And I think that is
Yeah.
something that I do like about Michael Mann, is that like his movies do have depth in every frame. Is the depth always poignant? No. No, not always. Very infrequently. But
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I know that like so many people like love Miami Vice and Black Hat, and that there's going to be again a subsect of the internet that's just like this fucker doesn't know what he's talking about. Miami Vice is amazing, but like,
Oh,
guys,
out of all
guys,
7 of our subscribers, probably on our audio platform, at least 5 of them are going to be Miami Vice fans, and they all hit unsubscribe at the
they
end of this
all
episode.
love Miami Vice.
Jesse,
Big Miami Vice fans.
Jesse Swift is going to be like, "What happened to all of our subscribers? Why did we lose over half of them?" Like, I don't know. Must have been some Miami Vice stands. I don't know. We'll find new ones. It's fine. Miami Vice. Oh man, it's the Jack Mayer of it all.
The Jack Mayer of it all. Where this episode has gone from Cats to Henry Cavill to Ryan Gosling to Now You See Me.
Not mad at it. I'm not mad at it. I love it. We spent, as long as the majority of the time we talk about the movie, it's fine.
Yeah, there we go.
I'm pretty sure my Coming to America episode with Amaru that released a few weeks before this was nothing but him and I going back and forth quoting the movie. Like that.
That's fair
for
enough.
An hour.
Movie, like, understandable.
Like that's all you can do is just go back and forth quoting that movie for forever, and people get it because they love it.
They get it, yeah.
Well, before we get out of here, Jack, where can the good folks find you, my friend?
I don't have social media except for my Letterboxd, which is just jmay658. So if you want to see either very long essay type reviews or one sentence joke reviews, I'm very inconsistent with that. But you can find my thoughts on movies there, basically.
If he printed his Cats review, it would be a whole dissertation.
Let's actually pull up my Cats reviews because I don't remember. I'm trying to I want to see what I wrote after the watch along that we did. I have this reviewed 4 times on Letterboxd, which is not accurate to the number of times that I've seen it. Okay, so my review of Cats after we watched it on theater was 2 words. You want to guess what those 2 words are, Allison? You want to guess?
I'm drunk.
No.
Oh.
Butthole cut.
Release the butthole cut.
Release
Perfect.
it. Perfect. We know it's out there,
it.
Tom. Give it.
Give the people what they want, Tom.
Tom. Real quick. Can I just
Can I cut a promo real quick?
Tom,
Go ahead.
Tom, buddy. I know that you've been listening and following everything that I've been doing ever since my incredible What If Tom Hooper Directed a Fantastic Four movie podcast episode. Dude, it's time. Like, the fans want it. We want to see the buttholes, Tom. Like, you know we're going to love it just as much as we love the original. Just because we have one doesn't mean we're not going to love the other. I'm going to watch them both equally the same amount of times. But just, buddy, we need it. Release the butthole cut. I think that should work.
Tom Hooper, big, you've never seen it fan. One of our biggest listeners. Can't wait for this to come out. We're going to tag him.
Thankfully, we have seen Cats, so.
We have, exactly. But, well, fine, folks. If you guys are enjoying what you're hearing, I have no idea if you are at this point, but hey, it's fine. Please subscribe, rate, and review on whatever audio platform you're listening to us on. If you're listening on YouTube, please make sure to comment, subscribe, like, and let me know your thoughts on Collateral and Cats and any of the other previous films that were discussed. And please be sure to hit the little bell for notifications anytime we have new content drop. You can follow me on Twitter at NeverSeenItFNR, and you can also follow at Allison Salamone, which is my personal Twitter. And until next time, my friends, be safe, and let's go watch more movies.